So should I hire a local freelancer or local staff, or should I hire a international or offshore staff or virtual assistant? Which way to go? It's so confusing. Local or overseas? Well, let me share with you some tips on, what is the pros and cons of each and how to best make a decision around local or offshore staff. Hi guys, it's Linh Podetti here, Director of Outsourcing Angel, and welcome to the Outsourcing Angel channel, where you can find useful information about outsourcing and how to scale your business, how to reduce costs, how to save time, and just really be able to do what you love in life. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell button so that you get notification for when we upload our videos. Now, I want to get straight to this question of local offshore and kind of the stigma behind it. So there are some myths from people thinking, we should not take the jobs offshore, we should keep it local, and why are we, taking the jobs away? And so I really want to, first of all, deal with that kind of myth, because that's actually a false myth. Okay, so when we're talking about taking away jobs or whatever else, you got to remember that we as human beings are human beings. We're all the same. We're all people. Just because some people are living in another country or living in another city, it doesn't mean that they are less worthy to have a job than people who are here. It doesn't mean that I'm Vietnamese and I only will help Vietnamese people. My company is actually full of Filipinos. So people always ask, why aren't you choosing the Vietnamese people to help? And I'm like, well, why not help the Philippines? It doesn't matter if I'm Vietnamese or I'm Filipino. Whoever I can help, I can help. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is really, when a job can be done easier or cheaper overseas, that means that it's going to free up time or free up space for people locally to do something else that's good for them, that is more best value, right? And so ever since I've been getting into outsourcing, it's not that I'm sitting there doing nothing because the jobs I'm outsourced overseas. I'm actually doing more strategic high-end work and doing things that only I can do, and I'm still working with overseas people doing the mundane or tasks that I don't want to do. And so there's always room for everybody, and we need to, most importantly, have that abundant mindset in life that there is plenty for everybody. And it's not like if this goes away, then you have nothing else to do. It's you can innovate and do more things rather than thinking that, the world is lacking or limited. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about are local freelancers or local staff that you can hire for your business. What are the pros? Of course, there are a lot of pros. I mean, they are already attuned to your culture. They speak Australian. They understand the communication. You can probably easily just pick up the phone and go, hey, what are you doing? And it's just really quick and easy. They're very educated, right? People in Australia would have free education and have studied up to year 12 or uni, and they've even worked in corporate jobs and have that professional experience. But of course, the cons is that they can be expensive, right? They could also find that, they know that they can kind of get jobs anywhere and they can kind of make their own jobs. So they're a lot more pickier with jobs, and you just need to make sure that you're giving them something really challenging and you're really caring about them for them to stay. So, and then when it comes to offshore people, you can still get the professionalism and they're still very expert. Except that, of course, you can't just go, hey, what are you doing? Picking up, they're living overseas, so the time zone's a little bit different. You just need to make sure that you've already set time when you're working with them. Culturally, it's a little bit different, but it just takes some time to train them up and set them up. But of course, they're still a little bit different. Like in the Philippines, they would say, hi, ma'am, and hi, sir, and they're just very polite, and that's just their style. In Australia, we're just culturally different. And then the pro for the overseas people is the cost. It's just much cheaper to do some of the same jobs as someone local. The other side is that they're actually not as picky with jobs, as in all they care about is having a stable job. So they're not jumping around looking for the highest paying thing. They're really kind of settled with the job that's been given to them, and as long as the employer treats them well, then they would stay. They're not as kind of fussy in Australia, because in Australia, if you don't feel like working, you can actually go on the dole and you can earn money from the government and do nothing, right? So the worst case is not that bad, and so people are a lot more picky with their jobs, and then when they do get a job, they can always jump around to different companies. So what I find with offshore people is there's that kind of stability. Well, when you find the right person and you treat them well, which what we do in our agency, they tend to stay for a long time, and they don't demand ongoing pay rises all the time and expecting, you know, all these benefits and things. Although we do give them benefits in our agency because we just care. We want them to stay for a long time for our clients, but in a sense, they are not as demanding. But local people, I have local staff too, but they are amazing. And local people has the advantage compared to the overseas people in that the education, they're thinking outside the box, they're very like strategic. So I think that local and overseas work really, really well together. It's really about looking at the strength and making sure that each side, each person is still playing on their strength. So it comes down to budget. If you have money, if you set up your business and you're running your business and you have money, you would be able to even consider hiring local people, right? Because you can afford. My challenge to you is just because you can afford someone local, it doesn't mean that you don't look at some of the tasks within their role that can be done cheaper overseas. Because if you could free them up time and get them to do the things that an overseas person can't do. For example, doing sales for you, doing, you know, phone call customer service that you know that is going to bring more of a higher return on investment, or coming up with strategies. Now, if they could spend more of those time doing that, that means they can bring more income for you. But in order for them to do more of that, that means you need to stop giving them the rest of the other things that don't need a lot of thinking. You know, maybe there's uploading, publishing things, data entry, doing things that, although it's part of the role, it doesn't mean that they should actually be doing it. Because if they're doing it, then they just have less time doing the things that they are worthy of, that you're paying them for. And so this is where I really think that offshore people coming in to do the repetitive, mundane tasks. So for example, when it comes to my marketing manager, I want her to come up with the strategy idea for how we're going to roll out a campaign, but then to actually build out the landing page, and write up the content and scheduling it and doing whatever the actual execution. I don't want her spending time doing that. I want her to focus on, learning new strategies and coming up with new, start off these projects and setting it up right, and then delegating it to the offshore people so that we have a team executing it, and she's free to then just strategize, check in the work, and report to me and project manage. So this is why I love how local and overseas really work well together. Now, if you're a freelancer and you're local and you're a virtual assistant as well, I actually have another video that talks about this, and it's really about how do you even grow your business better. So if you are a virtual assistant, don't fear that, oh my God, people are choosing to hire overseas VAs now and not using you. But it's really about, okay, look at the value that you can bring to the client that overseas VAs can't. And so then you would able to actually maybe work on strategies and work on the high-end thing, but you could even start outsourcing it yourself. You could even delegate your mundane tasks to someone cheaper, hire someone on a casual part-time basis, and then eventually full-time, but at a cost of $12, $15, while you're charging clients at $35 or $40 that you normally charge in Australia. And that means that you are able to leverage yourself as well. That means you're going to be able to grow beyond yourself. Because if it's just up to you as a VA, a local VA for a client, that means you're limited by the number of hours you can work each day. And so if it's 7 hours or 8 hours of work, you're limited to that, and you can't take on any more clients, and then you're overwhelmed. And then you're never really growing a business. You're still just having a job. Because I see freelancers or virtual assistants as people that could actually potentially kind of have their own business. And when I say own business, it doesn't mean you're stuck with just like selling your time. You could actually start to become a bit smarter and find some of the tasks that you could do it cheaper with an overseas person, and then spending your time with the clients, but focusing on more strategies and things that they get the best value from you. So overall, my conclusion is they're both wonderful. Local and offshore, they're both wonderful. You just need to understand how to make sure that you maximize both people, right? Getting them to do the repetitive, mundane, ongoing technical work or admin work, while the other local people strategies and things that will bring you the best results because you're paying them at a higher fee. So thank you so much for watching, and if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell button to get notification. And of course, we have a lot of free downloads in the email in the video below, so do check out. And if you have any questions or if you feel like we're missing any resources that you want a download of, then let us know, and we usually make up some amazing guides. Anyway, I'll speak to you soon and have a great day.